Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's only been a couple of days since my last video. I ran out of memory, so it is what it is. So there's a lot of pitfalls when it comes to construction in the Philippines. Some of the pitfalls is that you don't know everything here. You know some, but some of the things that you might have known before out of the country may not apply here, and there's plenty of that. So before I showed you a video about the water storage tank and pump and all that, so since installation I had a leak, and let me show you what's going on here. So the typical tank that you get, okay, you have two options here, actually three options, but the main storage tank is some of these are the 304 stainless steel metal, the other ones are plastic, and some you have a pressure tank that's probably made out of galvanized or aluminum. Ran into a lot of problem with this one, not necessarily because of the manufacture of the tank themselves. It could be the metal, but I'm sure there's other factors that are going on here. So what's happened is that 2 or 3 days after we got this installed, the plastic that is on the tank, the original manufacturers, they didn't bother taking it off, but it was bulging out in a bubble. So there was a pinhole leak that leaked, and through time it popped the bubble, and we have a small leak at the bottom. So I brought it to the supplier, the one that sold us this water softener system, which also sold us this, because he's basically a reseller for it, maybe at cost or slight markup. But the problem that we ran into is that we brought it back to, well, we called him up, and he tells us, well, just patch it up. Well, geez, I just paid a bunch of money for all these things, and you expect me to fix it? Isn't there a kind of warranty on this place? So after some argument, sort of in texting, he decided, okay, we'll take it back. So I volunteered to bring it back to him, back to Angeles City, Daul area, and so that way he can get it done. So he took it, I brought it to him, he took it all the way to Bulacan, took them a week to repair it, then bring it back, and I thought he was going to reinstall it like he said he was going to do the first time, and lo and behold, he said, oh, gas is expensive and all that crap. I said, well, you agreed to it. Then instead of having more argument about it, I said, you know what, I'll pick the darn thing up and I'll reinstall it myself. So I got a inline connect for him, because these pipes, these are UPVC, but believe me, these are a millimeter and they won't fit any of my PVC or ABS fitting from the States, what little I had. So I went ahead and took some of the ABS transition cement and that I happen to have, and glued it back. So I got it back. 1 or 2 days later, yet again, it leaked again. So it turns out that all they did is put some kind of coating on the outside of the tank, cover the hole, and you know what, there must be some dumbos there, because reality, you really can't patch much from the outside, especially 1,000 liters, putting pressure on a pinhole or two size at the bottom. So it leaked again. So I messaged him, and I came to realization that I'm dealing with idiots. So I ended up patching it myself. So mixed up some marine epoxy, went ahead and, obviously I can't get in here, the hole is too small, so I hooked up I put a paintbrush on a stick, put some on there, and basically paint some areas that I think was leaking. So as you can see, the little rusty areas, well, that already started back up again. Only 1 day. So what I did is I took a stick, mounted onto my battery operated grinder brush, cleaned it, put a patch on there, you know, wherever I think, you know, a couple of patches here and there. But this morning, rust is kind of coming back a little bit. So wait a minute here. How could it be possibly rusting? Because, you know, I have a so-called stainless steel 304 tank. Well, it's real simple. First of all, the 304 metal over here, the stainless steel, I'd say it's literally crap. That's number one. Here, I'll show you. See that scissor? See that? It's crap. And if you look in here, they welded the valve underneath there. If you can see that hole down there. Anyway, they welded that valve on there, probably using some kind of arc welder instead of TIG welding it with some nice additional stainless steel. So they probably did some ingenuity of arc welding on there, put a metal valve on there, and then patch it up with some 100% silicone. Well, I'm sure that while they're arc welding it here and there, a spark's going to fly. Wherever that spark going to fly, it lands somewhere. It's going to weaken that metal a little bit, cause corrosion, and you're going to have a leak. So anyway, I'm pretty sure this will work, but it's going to be temporary. This is rock hard, like glass hard. But there's something else I discovered here, which is not entirely the manufacturer of the metal itself or the tank, but the water that we're getting is actually from the municipal. They call it prime water here. It's a bit salty. So salt water and whatever metal you're putting in, unless it's really thick, it's going to cause corrosion. It's going to break apart the sodium, the salt is going to break apart the molecular adhesion of all the metal, you know, all the metals mixed in with the stainless steel. So that causes rust. So I'll deal with this as long as I can. Then the next tank I'm going to get is plastic, which I should have gotten in the first place. So I think everyone should get plastic from the get-go, because you don't know the water quality of the water that's coming in from the city. Yeah, it's a little bit salty, but I don't drink it. You know, I just want to shower and wash dishes with it. You know, but I think if you guys come over here, I would forego getting any kind of so-called 304 stainless steel, and just go ahead and get the plastic. I don't think you're going to regret getting plastic. Okay. So that's one of the things that I dealt with here. I just turned on the water outside, so I'm going to start filling up the tank. Having a 1,000 liter and having a water softener, well, water softener takes about 200 to 300 liters to purge every other day, and it probably quadrupled to 5 times our normal water bill. But you know, that's the sacrifice you're gonna have to make. Increase the utility bills a little bit by adding water softener. So another pitfall, slightly, is our septic tank. Now these septic tanks are made from recycled plastic bags from the grocery store, etc. I still love the tank, but there's no directions how to do it. I mean, there's pictures and all that, but here's what I'm telling you. Why did I go with this plastic tank in the first place? Well, first of all, they're 1,000 liters each, and I don't think, you know, I think it's going to last me at least 10 years for this one before it gets filled up. I might die by then, maybe a little bit longer, because there's only 2 of us. But I know that if we made a concrete septic tank, they all crack, okay, and they all leak. And because I have a fish pond here, I just don't want to contaminate the water with any kind of untreated sewage. Just thinking about it is pretty gross. So anyhow, that's why I went with plastic. Now, the pitfalls of this is these valves, or the connectors between tanks. They're made from the same material. It sits out in the sun a little bit. You can't unscrew it, and you can't screw it back in anything tight. So we had to reinforce it with between epoxy and Volcasil and you name it. Okay. Second problem is that, you know, you dig a hole, right? Then you backfill with some of the dirt. But the problem is, if you get rain coming in, guess what? These are flotation device, so it's gonna pop back up. All the mud and everything else is gonna start rising, and next thing you know, it's gonna be like 3 feet off from the bottom or more. Now I know that these things are filled with water and so forth, but it wasn't filled with water yet, and these not yet. Okay, I don't want to throw a bunch of water in there and go from there. So it popped up, oh god, 2, 3, 4 times already. So I told my construction guy, I said, you know what, we're not putting any kind of locking mechanism into here. So first of all, we put cement, we put a barrier around here, we put drainage in there and so forth. So what happened is that I told him go ahead and drill a hole into, oh wait a minute, let me back up. So it was dug back up, it floated. So instead of putting mud and pack back there, we poured cement. So we made the hole a bit bigger and just poured cement completely around it, a slurry of cement. Anyway, so it's sitting in cement. Could it float again? Yes. So prevent that, I went ahead and drilled some holes, put in rebars, dipped the rebar into some epoxy. After I drilled it in, then I went ahead and bent the rebar down to even surface as the tank, so that way it prevents it from floating back up again. I should have seen it coming about the floating the first time, but you know, we're doing this and we're doing that and we didn't complete everything yet, so that's why. So this time we're good. These are kind of like the filters. I don't need a filter on this tank, and usually in the housing division they only have one of these. Okay, then it goes out to like you know, the drainage along the street. I don't want anything like that. I want the water to be going from one to another, then into the ground and into the pipe outside as well. But I want the water to, I want the bacteria to basically do its work, to make sure that by the time it goes out to the leaching tank, leaching ground, it would be plenty good. So anyhow, it's going to come out here. Actually, this last one, as you see my last video, I have this full of gravel, and I put a bunch of holes in there so the ground is going to absorb the water. But the problem is the water table right now, I'm assuming, is pretty high because, you know, it's rainy season, so it's not absorbing as fast as I would like. During the summer, I think I'm going to have zero problem, but I'm going to have to extend this out, go down a couple of feet, and create a small drain field out here, leaching field I mean. Put a bunch of holes in there, put some screens on there, wrap it up, and put it 2 feet down. So that's what I'm going to do next. But for right now, I probably can use the septic tank the way it is now for the next you know, couple months, and probably won't even come out yet. Over here, these are my gray water. 2 of these. Oh, this is going to be sort of like an emergency drain from the gray water, but I plan to put a submersible pump in there with a pipe going out, and then whenever I need to water the plants, or even, you know, emergency dump, you could say I want to drain that, I'll just probably dump it over here and let it go wherever it's going to go. It's just gray water, so it's actually going to help the plants and everything else because of the phosphorus and other things that the plants need. And the phosphorus, of course, coming from our dishwashing liquid as well as probably our laundry detergent. This back here, we'll work on it later. We're just going to extend this out a little bit to a ramp, and of course this is going to be a future deck slash swimming pool when we have some money saved up. See, any more pitfalls? Yes. If you guys going to build with an M2 house, I mean M2 material, and I spoke to this many times, about lahar, which is the river sand in northern Luzon here. It's gonna crack, it's gonna leak. Now the type of roof that I have is basically flat. Okay, so with the lahar, it's going to crack. And you know, other people build flat roof here too, okay, and they're not using lahar. It still leaks, yes. Okay, is it leak proof? No, but they could probably have less cracks using real sand. And I'll give you an example. I got tired of using lahar, so this is real sand here for my drainage area, you could say. Not one single crack in the real sand. Okay, but here, this is lahar. See that? See that? That's lahar. And imagine my whole entire roof is basically lahar and cement, starting from the dump truck, because they use lahar. Then we use some more lahar to put it on top. So am I fighting some leaks? Yes. But you know, I'm fighting one battle at a time. It's a little bit of leak, and I will take care of it totally during the dry season. Probably going to put some liquid asphalt / tar on top and see what else I can do on top. But because I'm using the PVC ceiling tiles, and if it does leak, right at this point, it's no big deal. I mean, that's, you know, the water is going to affect the plywood, affects the HardieFlex, or affect the gypsum board. So, but it's not going to affect the PVC panels at all, which, or I think at all. But I'm pretty sure it's going to hold up quite well. You might see some. You've probably seen some pipes hanging out here. That's from my bathroom. I did put some spray foam in there just before I cover it with cement. Anyhow, the higher ones, it's real easy fix. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to melt some styrofoam, you know, the 4-inch styrofoam. Just put a heat gun to it, create a channel, put it over that area, and just gonna cover it with cement. So it's basically, it's gonna look like another protrusion like this around the house. So it's gonna hide it quite well. And in here, I'm just gonna cover it with some gravel to hide all these pipes. It's gonna look nice. It's going to the water is going to go from there over here, from the rooftop, and out to the fish pond. Took a lot of work, a lot of time, a bit of money, but you know, that's what I had to do. The windows is holding up fabulous. When I close the window, there's very little sound that I can hear from the outside, as well as there's also the insulating factor. M2 panel, I'm telling you, you might see this. So what I'm doing is that inside the living room, I'll take a picture. I don't know if you can see it or not, but if you can see over there, there's a pipe going up, and there's a hole. That's for my split AC. Now the hole is on the ceiling so that the piping can go onto the cooling area over there on top. But I think I'm just calculating that it's too high, especially when I put the PVC ceilings and all that on. So I think the drainage might have to go up and go over, so I didn't like that. So I went ahead and drill a hole, go through the ceiling above the PVC panel and the purlins, and out to here. So I'll clean that up, gonna make it look nice. But of course, all the condensation water is just gonna drip and drain out. Same thing on the other side, but all my bedrooms are okay. All right. So back to what I'm saying with the M2 house here. The other day, I was laying down on the floor. I can't open. Anyway, I was laying down on the floor with just a fan, bright sun out, pretty hot, and I was actually getting cold with just a plain old fan. How's that for incredible? Absolutely incredible. So I think as far as when it comes to AC, I may use very, very little of it. Check this out. Isn't that beautiful? I got one of them. That's gonna be surrounding my house. See that? E27 bulb fitting there. It looks nice, right? Yeah, it looks nice. But it turns out that the standard E27 LED bulb or any bulb, it's the glass or plastic part of it is too big. It sticks out below. So now I got to try to find a mini bulb to fit in that. One on top and one on bottom. Ridiculous. What are they thinking when they build that thing? It looks huge. It looks like it's plenty of room for two bulbs up and down. But no. The darn thing inside, it's not enough room. How's that for craziness? Let's see, did I forget anything yesterday? Back to my bathroom again. Now, our carpenter, he really take consideration that, you know, because I'm a Western guy, that I don't like any leaks, trying to keep the bugs out. He knows I'm going to put a door sweep and everything else. So when he trimmed up this door, the manufacturer of the window and door, they did not give any clearance whatsoever, okay? So we end up having to take a planer and trim it down quite a bit. So with that consideration, he gave me very tight tolerance here as well as the floor. However, this is rainy seasons, humidity, so the door has expanded a little bit, so we have to do some adjustment, or actually trim a little bit more. Then the other thing is that he didn't factor in that I need a little bit more clearance, because when I spray it with varnish, it's going to add to the bulk of the door a little bit. Oh, the windows are closed. Hang on. I can't hear anything outside. Zero. There's no ventilation here whatsoever at this moment because all the doors are closed, the windows are closed. I think it's because of the double glazed, double pane windows. Fantastic. I don't know if you guys heard about the earthquake in the Philippines about a month ago, 3 weeks to a month ago. And what's funny is that I'm working in the bedroom, you know, doing some electrical work, and our crew looked outside and he saw the tree, our mango tree, just waving violently like this. But inside the house, there was no sound whatsoever. When he mentioned it, then I kind of felt a little dizzy, but I didn't feel any shaking type of thing. But it was shaking enough outside to sway the trees. I'm sure the house was shaking too. But not one single sound, not one single cracking sound, nothing. Zero. So that was our first test of earthquake. The magnitude up north was like 7.3, I want to say. But here, nothing. So you know, it could be the M2 house that that was really resistant as far as cracking and making noise or whatever. But so far, that's our first test of earthquake, and it passed with flying colors. Some of the pictures that you see, that you may have seen, you know, you have some plaster that's coming off the house, just basically falling the house, and then you see the hollow blocks, you know, the so-called, you know, hollow blocks that they make over here, but basically fell off. Well, sometimes, you know, you wait too long before you plaster the hollow blocks and make it nice and smooth and all that. Well, you know, you got algae, you have everything building up there, and you really need to basically power wash the outside, as well as put some cement adhesive on there. And cement adhesive, I don't know how exactly it works, but you know, you take that adhesive they sell in a gallon jug, for example, and then you mix it with a little bit of Portland cement that comes with it. Anyway, all you have to do is just brush it on to, well, clean off your cement that you're going to adhere to, but brush it on, then put in your however thickness of plastering cement over it, and believe me, it's going to stick to it like glue. You know, if you try to stick on any cement on bare cement, regardless of how rough it is, it's not going to stick so well, and believe me, it's going to come off. It came off in a couple areas over here with my crew that put it, but I told them how to do it because, you know, based on my research on how to do it in a couple areas, and like I said, it did hold like glue. And you know, that's kind of like a standard how I'm going to do things from now on, is pressure wash the area, put the glue on there, and then I can put a layer of cement on there without worrying about it chipping off. Because over here you're going to see a lot of the substandard construction. Things will fall off within 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or even just a few months. You know, you make, what I've noticed over here, and I don't mean to be judgmental, but you know, I guess I am, but you're gonna notice that they're gonna make it look nice, right? But then, you know, a couple weeks, couple months later, things starts to fall off, and those things are the ones that really irritates me. It's irritating to me. So I'm trying to do all I can to prevent that here. I know it's not going to be perfect, but hey, at least I'm trying. And hopefully you guys are watching this, you can see some of the pitfalls that I went through and some things I talked about, and try to not do it. Because, you know, if you make mistakes, you're just going to end up paying some extra money like we did. And, you know, I wish I would have known some of these things before, but you know, I'm learning as I go. I wish there was somebody else that would, you know, make videos like I've done with M2 panel, simple things like cement, simple things like how to do tiles the correct way, the windows. Well, I had to learn that here myself, but little things like that. If you can pick up some of my problems that I have here, and prevent it, it's going to save you some money, and it might be in your benefit. So anyway, take it for what it's worth. We're not even close to be finished with this house. I think we're to the point where we can move in and live. No kitchen countertop yet. I'm still weighing between aluminum cabinets or having the carpenter make it really good marine plywood counters. Then on top, maybe I'll do some kind of stone coat countertop type situation with some MDF wood that's here, and or I can buy some of these real, you know, like real thin Chinese granite that they can't cut 45s and, you know, patch those together. So that's going to bother me a little bit. So I'll probably end up trying to experiment and do some stone coat countertops using epoxy. That's very possible, but I'm still kind of weighing between aluminum, that, or plywood. It's hard, you know. It's the money factor. Not that it's going to be too expensive otherwise. It's just with plywood, I'm kind of worrying about moisture. I'm worrying about possible termites. I just hate creepy and crawly things that's going around. As a matter of fact, let me show you something real quick here. So if you look up there, between the metal pairing and the wall, well, there's acrylic to cover up the gaps. So I'm not giving any opportunity for spiders or gecko or ants or whatever else to have a hiding place or a place for them to make a house out of. So that's another reason why things taking a while, because being kind of picky on how I do things, or for me to come up with ideas how to prevent things as well. I think in my position, because I'm retired and I'm not terribly in a hurry. Before, I have all the time in the world, I guess, as long as money is coming in. But now slightly hurry because my lease is coming up next month, and while I'm living here, I can just finish as I go. So that's how it is. Anyhow, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, like, and share my channel. I try to push out more videos more often, but as far as the M2 part of it, I think you probably seen the end of the M2 construction in the meanwhile. Maybe when I extend the back a little bit, a little pathway to the back area, maybe I can do that as well, actual doing the M2 panel again. But I think what you're going to see in the future now is just finishing and some of the things I come up with. Everything from the doorway casing, the wood stain, and the varnishing and so forth. Hopefully you guys can enjoy some of that. And am I an expert on this? No, not at all. But YouTube is my friend, and I think is you guys' friend too, because if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't come up with some of these, come up with M2 panel and learn how to do a few things. And I knew how to do many things already, but I didn't know things like how to do PPR pipe here, for example. Where I came from, well, you do either copper or you're going to do some real heavy duty PVC or ABS. Here you're doing PPR. Who would have thought melting two plastic pieces together and make that connection? If you do it wrong, you're screwed. Because everything is, if the PPR glue that you did into the wall, and then you cover it with cement, if it leaks, you're totally screwed. You should do pressure tests and everything else. But even so, things happen. Oh, another thing, hang on. So when you over here, when you buy a stove or whatever else you use to have a countertop heating area, well, we're buying a modern stove. The thing is, here we don't have natural gas, we have propane tanks. And a lot of places you just basically gonna haul in the propane tank, you throw it in the cabinet, then you hook up the hose that goes to your range. Well, I don't want that. So what I did is I went in and put PPR pipe in here, and I have a gas dryer. I put a PPR pipe in there as well, and I'll put in the nipple connections later. I'll probably use brass. I know in the States you're going to use black iron pipe and all that stuff. Well, we don't have that here. May have, but can't find it. Anyway, from the kitchen, I just went ahead and run it along there as well. And then from my laundry room, come out here, is going to go through here, and guess what? I'm going to put my tank, the propane tank, in the water storage. How about that? Not bad? Anyway, that's one of my harebrained idea. Just simply because I don't want to haul in two tanks, one for the kitchen and one for the laundry room, when I can just have it outside. The propane tank isn't really that dangerous, but I guess technically it seems more safe to put the tank outside. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Thanks for tuning in. See you.